Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in. Let's kick off a Tuesday here. Should flag burning be a criminal offense or protected by your First Amendment rights? The Trump administration is challenging the act of burning an American flag that will likely find its way to the U.S. Supreme Court. We have the details of this. Cracker Barrel is digging their hole deeper every single day. It's not just the logo that's changed, but they've even changed the language on their classic table peg game. You know, the one that has the golf tees to pass the time while you're waiting on your order. You're not going to believe this. And Southwest Airlines, they're rolling out new conditions for their plus-size passengers starting in January. What does this mean? I have all the details for you in today's show. The South Carolina State Ports Authority will pay former CEO Barbara Melvin $822,000 and contribute another $100,000 to her government retirement account, while also retaining her as an hourly consultant through the end of the year as part of her separation agreement. Who gets a deal like this and to be able to walk out the door? That and a whole lot more in today's show.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, you know, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Finally, someone in Washington has the spine to stand up to the for the Stars and Stripes. President Donald Trump signed an executive order that says if you desecrate the American flag while breaking the law or inciting violence, you're going to be prosecuted. Just that simple. And frankly, this is overdue, isn't it? Long overdue. The executive order, signed just this week, directs Attorney General Pam Bondi to pursue maximum legal action against anyone who violates laws in ways that involve burning or defacing the American flag. It also directs the Department of Justice to push for litigation that redefines and narrows the current Supreme Court interpretation of what the First Amendment actually says. Now, let's think about this for a minute. And quite honestly, I'm not quite sure where I fall on this. Now, yes, the court ruled back in 1989 that burning the flag was protected speech. That case, it was Texas versus Johnson, was about a radical protester who torched the flag outside the RNC during President Reagan's re-election campaign. It was offensive then, and it's still offensive now. It just, it never sits well to see someone burn the flag that you and I hold such great respect for. Now, at the same time, when you say that, you also recognize that flag represents freedom. That flag represents our freedom of speech. So I'm always torn with this. I've never really understood why someone would want to burn a flag. So did the Supreme Court get it right then? Or was that decision a disgrace? I think the court got it wrong. And I think it's up to the next court to get it right. The American flag is not just another symbol. It drapes the coffins of our fallen heroes. Think about that. It flies outside of every house of worship, every school, every courthouse that still believes in this country and the freedoms that it stands for. Yes, it stands for freedoms, but it also stands for sacrifice. It stands for order. It stands for unity. It stands for pride of this country that we call home. Now, President Trump's executive order is the first serious challenge in decades to the left's weaponization of free speech. Burning the flag doesn't start a debate. It actually starts riots. And anyone who watched Portland or D.C. or L.A. as they exploded into flames and as they burned buildings, as they burned cars, as they destroyed public property, and then threw in a flag every now and then, you know what I'm talking about. This isn't about silencing people, I don't think. I mean, you want to protest? Fine. Hold a sign, write an op-ed, march peacefully. But don't set fire to the symbol of the very country that gives you the right to protest. What President Trump is doing here is exactly what Ronald Reagan would have done. It's what millions of veterans and Gold Star families have begged our leaders to do. Protect the flag. Protect the symbol of that very freedom. Restore some sense of moral order. And yes, draw a line in the sand when it comes to desecrating what our country stands for, because when you burn a flag, that's what you're doing. When you burn a flag, you're destroying what our country stands for. You're destroying the freedoms that our country stands for. You're destroying the freedoms that so many young men and women have given their lives to defend. So many families who have suffered the loss of a loved one who have gone to a foreign country and have died on foreign soil to protect those freedoms. So you can cry First Amendment if you want to. The Constitution is not a suicide pact. It doesn't protect lawless behavior disguised as a protest, and it certainly doesn't require us to sit silently while the flag burns. So we'll see. Where's this go next? The Supreme Court may soon have an opportunity to revisit their 1989 decision. They may have the opportunity to correct what I think was a mistake in 1989. And this time, I think the American people are paying more attention. What do you think? Should you be allowed to burn an American flag? Is that a freedom of speech? Is that what does that fall under freedom of speech? To burn that sacred symbol of our country? Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always use promo code Joey when you go to MyPillow.com to get the best deals. For example, MyPillow's offering the standard MyPillow for $19.98 when you use promo code Joey. It gets even better, though, because for a limited time, they're going to offer the entire classic collection at wholesale prices. You can get a queen size for $24.98. You can get a king size for $29.98. You can get the MyPillow body pillows for $39.98 and the multi-use pillow for just $12.98. But you got to use promo code Joey. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4059. Use promo code Joey. And by the way, take advantage of the wholesale pricing, but also receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. You get the standard MyPillow for $19.98 plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4059 and use promo code Joey. The man who allegedly started the brutal Cincinnati beatdown, you remember the fight that went viral, the video that went viral a few weeks ago? The guy who started that, supposedly, is back in custody. And this time, it's the feds who came knocking. His name is Jermaine Matthews. And he's the so-called coordinator of the July 26th downtown assault that's now been indicted on federal fentanyl trafficking charges. This isn't just street violence anymore. This is a full-blown breakdown of law, order, and accountability in American cities. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Matthews is accused of conspiring to distribute and possess more than 40 grams of fentanyl and operating a known drug den in the heart of Cincinnati. He was already out on bond after being charged locally for his alleged role in the 3 a.m. brawl outside a nightclub, and now he's facing serious federal prison time. I guess he's probably wishing he had never started that fight. He had never drawn this attention to himself. he's supposed to be on bond. Instead, he was apparently back in the game, allegedly running drugs, fueling addiction, and laughing in the face of justice like so many of these thugs do. And it doesn't stop there. 3 other men have been charged as co-conspirators, and another suspect from the beatdown also has been hit with federal gun charges. So this is what happens when soft-on-crime prosecutors and local judges treat violent offenders like victims. And we're seeing this all around the country in these large cities. You get this, and no one should be surprised about it. It's fentanyl today. It was an aggravated riot and assault yesterday, and the only reason that this Matthews guy was still walking free was because some judge thought a $100,000 bond was enough to keep him in line. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. And now he's back in the news, and the federal government has had to step in and clean up the mess. That's not how it's supposed to work. We shouldn't need federal prosecutors to do the job of local courts, of what local judges and local officials refuse to do. The Cincinnati case, this is just a snapshot of what's happening in cities all across the country. L.A., Chicago, New York. Violence goes viral, victims are blamed, and career criminals become political pawns. You've got a guy like Alex Stravinsky, beaten, robbed, allegedly hit 28 times while trying to protect his girlfriend, and now he's being charged with disorderly conduct for fighting back. I mean, welcome to the upside-down Justice Department, right? This is just crazy, folks. This is the America we get when lawlessness is tolerated and the flag is allowed to be burned instead of defended. That's what you get. America is in a health crisis, and by America, not just strangers across the country. It's personal. Me, you, friends, and family. And a major cause? Excess weight. Joey Hudson here. The solution isn't expensive shots like Ozempic. It's learning how to eat and think about food differently, and that's what PhD Weight Loss does. Their clients lose up to a third of their body weight. No drugs, just real food, behavioral coaching, and proven science to turn your body into a fat-burning machine. Sure, you could spend up to $20,000 a year on injections that burn muscle, not fat, and come with risks like pancreatitis or bowel blockages, only to gain it all back. PhD helps your body naturally produce weight loss hormones like GLP-1s. No shortcuts, just results that last. Already on Ozempic? Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team will help you safely transition off and keep losing weight. Let's make America healthy again. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. All right, this next issue is one that I've talked about quite a bit over the years. As someone who travels quite a bit, it never fails, and I want to be sensitive about this. I don't want to sound cruel, but when I'm on an airplane and someone is seated beside me who is very obese, who's very big, then it makes it uncomfortable for both of us. And Southwest Airlines evidently is about to take a stand for what they're calling fairness and common sense. Starting January 27th, if you need more than one seat, or if you should have more than one seat, you're going to be asked to buy that additional seat. That's not controversial, or at least it shouldn't be. It's just reality, and again, common sense for people who are paying good money to travel and shouldn't be uncomfortable. Now, their new policy will require what they're calling customers of size to proactively purchase an additional seat before they get on the plane. This coincides with their move to assign seating in early 2026. Now, if you've ever flown on Southwest, and I'll be honest, Southwest it's a good airline. It's not my choice, and it's not my choice because they don't allow you to choose their seat, your own seat. It's sort of like getting on a bus. First come, first serve. And I don't like that because when I'm flying, I have specific seats that I like to sit in. I like to sit in an aisle. And an example of that, as I was coming back from the Patriots Alaska cruise this past weekend, I had an aisle seat, 5C. I had booked that seat back in February of this year when we started planning the trip. That particular seat. So I got on the plane the other day, and I digress a bit here, but I got on the plane, and there was an elderly lady sitting in that seat. And so I kind of politely said, "Ma'am, I think you're in the wrong seat." Well, the lady across the aisle, who it turns out was her daughter, said, "Oh yeah, this is my mom, and we wanted to sit beside one another." She said, "Wouldn't you like to have a window seat?" I very politely said, "No, actually I don't. I don't want a window seat. I wanted this aisle seat." So the compromise, what we did was we agreed that I would take her aisle seat beside her husband, and she'd move over and let her mom sit there, and they'd sit in the same row. I don't think she was happy about it. But look, I don't think I should have given up a seat that I had chosen months ago because of their poor planning. But again, I digress. Back to Southwest and this, what they're calling customers of size. So what Southwest is saying is they're going to start in January allowing you to choose your seats. It's not going to be like a cattle call. You just go on, first come, first serve. And in doing so, if you are a person, a customer of size, meaning that you are too big to really fit in one seat, they're going to ask you to buy the seat beside you so that you're not uncomfortable and the person beside you is not uncomfortable. I mean, let's be honest here. Airline seats have not gotten bigger. In fact, they've kind of shrunk over the years because airlines are wanting to get as many seats in that same size plane as they possibly can. And this makes it a tougher issue than it used to be. Southwest is drawing a very clear line. If you can't sit comfortably within the armrest, it's time to plan ahead. And yes, you might, according to their plan, if in fact you purchase that additional seat, and if they would not have sold it otherwise, in other words, if the flight wasn't sold out, you might get a refund. And the point is that every paying passenger deserves the seat they paid for, not half of one. And that's what happens sometimes if you're seated beside someone who's just too big to be seated in one seat. This isn't discrimination. This is decency and respect for all travelers. And if you've ever traveled, if you've ever been on an airplane with someone who is just too big to fit in that one seat, you know what I'm talking about. I've talked to moms flying solo with their toddlers. I've talked to veterans on their way to medical appointments, business people trying to catch a connection. And you know what they all have in common? They paid for a seat and they expect to be able to use that seat comfortably without having to spill into someone else's personal space. For too long, airlines have been afraid to say what most people are thinking. If you need more room, that's fine. No shame. I understand it. But don't expect someone else to carry the cost or squeeze in tighter just because the truth makes some people uncomfortable. I shouldn't be uncomfortable because you're too big to fit in one seat, right? You agree? Or am I out of line here? Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. I mean, I think this is what responsible corporate policy looks like. I think Southwest is doing the right thing here. It's not mean-spirited. It's not political. It's just setting expectations and applying the rules equally. I mean, imagine that. Finally, a common sense decision. Finally, a decision that is fair for everyone. And here's the irony. The same folks who say that we should believe the science are the first ones to freak out when a private company sets boundaries based on physical space. You can't have it both ways. Either you believe in facts and fairness, or you're just playing victim politics at 35,000 feet in the air. So I say, here's the Southwest for finally getting this right. Here's the Southwest for leading the way among airlines. Maybe some of the other airlines will do the same thing. They'll follow suit. Common sense isn't common anymore, especially in the skies. So did you hear about the political earthquake that happened yesterday? For the first time in U.S. history, a sitting president has fired a Federal Reserve governor. President Donald Trump just ousted Lisa Cook, accusing her of mortgage fraud and calling her conduct deceitful and potentially criminal. Now, if you haven't been tracking this one, here's what happened. Here's the story. According to a criminal referral from the Federal Housing Finance Agency, Cook allegedly declared 2 different primary residences within 2 weeks of each other. One in Michigan, one in Georgia. Trump says that's not just sloppy paperwork, but it's fraud. In his letter firing Cook, he said, "It is impossible that you intended to honor both." And we know that's right. I mean, this is one of those games that these very wealthy people do. They have all these different residences. They claim one over the other, whichever is the best for taxes in that particular case. You and I both know you can't have 2 primary residences. It's a crime if you're trying to secure favorable loans for one or the other. Same thing that we've seen other people do. Letitia James and some of the others. And this isn't just a random accusation. The DOJ is already investigating this. Now, Lisa Cook was a Biden appointee, confirmed in 2023 on a very thin party line vote, and has been a vocal advocate for the Fed's progressive pivot. So, of course, the media is going to frame this as a political hit job. Oh, big bad orange man. He's just taking out his political assault on this. But let's just be honest about this. If a Republican appointee had done the same thing, that'd be the headline, the breaking story on CNN. And don't forget, President Trump didn't just wake up and fire her out of spite. He gave her a chance to resign. And when she didn't, he said, "I'll fire her if she doesn't resign," and he followed through. He did what he promised. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Under federal laws, Fed governors can only be removed for cause. Historically, that means serious misconduct. Well, folks, if lying on mortgage forms gets better rates isn't a misconduct, I don't know what is. And let's not ignore the bigger picture here. The Federal Reserve sets interest rates, oversees banks, and has massive influence over your money and my money. It's one of the top regulators, and if she's lying about her own financials, how can the American people trust anything coming out of that building if they allow their own to act like this? Trump's been pushing the Fed to cut interest rates to help the economy and tackle our $37 trillion national debt. And now with this move, he's sending a very clear message. Accountability is back in Washington. Ms. Cook's term was supposed to last through 2038, but instead, her time just ran out. Wow, this Cracker Barrel story just keeps getting more outrageous every day. It wasn't enough to change the logo, and according to reports, to change the look of the interior of the stores. But you're not going to believe this next one. Cracker Barrel has altered the language on its classic table peg game amid this controversial rebranding, its logo change. And as you know, it's not going over too well. Now, this peg game, it's on every table when you sit down. It's the little... it has the golf tees and the games on every table. And it previously poked good-naturedly at struggling players, where the goal is to remove all the pegs but one by jumping over them on the board. You leave only one, you're a genius. Leave 2, and you're pretty smart. Leave 3, and you're just plain dumb. Leave 4 or more, you're just plain an ignoramus. That's how it was. Evidently, that offended some of the new woke leadership at Cracker Barrel. Now, the peg games say if you leave 3 or more, don't be embarrassed. Try again. The word was misspelled on a board photograph by Fox News Digital with only one R in the embarrassed part. According to a Cracker Barrel spokesperson, the peg game is still the same peg game our guests have known and loved for years, and some may look visually different now, but the rules and fun remain completely unchanged. Now, who is going to be offended at the playful way they talked about leave 2 and you're pretty smart, leave 3 and you're just plain dumb, leave 4 and you're an ignoramus? And they want to change this. Oh, don't be embarrassed. Try again. Look, they should be embarrassed by misspelling embarrassed, right? Wow. Ex-user William Allen said in a post, in Cracker Barrel's process of rebranding from old-timey to modern old-timey and killing their business, they wokeified the peg game to minimize hurt feelings of those who don't do so well. Writer Zach Dean, in a slightly tongue-in-cheek post on Outkick, condemned the change as being too soft. He said, but rewording the back of the pregame so idiots don't get offended when they inevitably suck at it. Come on, sucking at the peg game is as American as apple pie. It's a rite of passage. It's tradition. That game made us all stronger as kids growing up, and it challenges us still to this day. And I'm not sure if it's really that serious, but still, I think he's making his point. The restaurant chain, of course, has faced a lot of backlash over its rebranding, including the replacing the overall clad old timer, or Uncle Herschel, as he's known, who is depicted in the logo, sitting on the porch, leaning against the barrel. It's something that we've seen for many, many years. This new logo, which was unveiled August 19th, just says Cracker Barrel in plainer type, just a plain font style. Has no images or no illustration. Images of the revamped locations with the less cluttered stores and the bare walls have also drawn criticism. Defenders say that the changes are welcome and claim and conservatives are working themselves into outrage over nothing. Well, sure, of course, but we know why they did this. We know that the woke CEO is pushing this. Cracker Barrel admitted, though, yesterday that it, quote, could have done better sharing who we are and who we always will be. In a statement issued by the company, they said, if the last few days have shown us anything, is how deeply people care about Cracker Barrel. We're truly grateful for your heartfelt voices. You've also shown us that we could have done a better job sharing who we are and who we'll always be. The company said that what is not and will never change are the values that Cracker Barrel was built on when the Lebanon, Tennessee-based chain first opened back in 1969. Those values, the statement read, are hard work, family, and scratch-cooked food made with care. Cracker Barrel also said its values offering a plate where everyone feels at home, regardless of where they're from or where they're headed. In their statement, they said, that's the Cracker Barrel you'll always find. The things people love most about our stores aren't going anywhere. Rocking chairs on the porch, a warm fire in the hearth, peg games on the table, unique treasures in our gift shop, and vintage Americana with antiques pulled straight from our warehouse in Lebanon, Tennessee. They said, we love seeing how much you care about our old timer. We love him too. Uncle Herschel will still be on our menu. Welcome back, Uncle Herschel. His favorite breakfast platter. On our road signs and featured in our country store, he's not going anywhere. He's family. Except he's just not going to be out on the front of the store. He's not going to be on the logo anymore. The company said the biggest focus at the moment is in the kitchen and on your plate, rather than on the headlines about its logo and remodels. Well, do they expect us to believe that? I think the focus is probably on their declining stock value, on the almost $100 million that they lost in value, and could be more. They continued with their statement saying, meatloaf, chicken and dumplings, country fried steak, sides that taste like Sunday supper, and yes, the world's best pancakes, they're still all here with a few new dishes joining the menu. Whether you're a longtime fan or first-time guest, we want you to feel at home around our table, it said. We also want to be sure that Cracker Barrel is here for the next generation of families, just as it has been for yours. They explained that planning for future generations means showing up on new platforms in new ways, but always with our heritage at heart. And they seem to be doubling down. They claim that 87% of respondents in their research either loved or liked their new logo. I find that hard to believe. Don't you? Do you believe that 87%? All I've heard of people who are disappointed in Cracker Barrel. A spokesperson told the media, our values haven't changed and the heart and soul of Cracker Barrel haven't changed at all. I'm going to find that hard to believe. A spokesperson also said that the feedback from guests and team members has been overwhelmingly positive and enthusiastic about the refreshed dining and shopping experience, but a vocal minority may feel differently. So I guess, folks, you and I are part of that vocal minority. I guess we're the vocal minority they're talking about, and it doesn't matter how we feel about it. It doesn't matter that we feel like that they have just bowed to the woke left, that once again another corporate entity has bowed to wokeism, and we're the minority. Well, I guess the minority cost them about $100 million. We'll see if that value comes back. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. I got a question for you. Would you pay $100 for a chicken nugget? Now, let me preface that by saying it has caviar on top. Well, that's what's happening in the at the U.S. Open, where attendees are calling the caviar top chicken nuggets, which is sold at the food court there, for a staggering $100 a piece. Some of the U.S. Open attendees are calling it a double fault. Lisa Zizzo told the New York Post, "It's the worst chicken I've ever had in my life." She's a 48-year-old Floridian who forked over the large sum for a box of 6 caviar nuggets at the food stand outside of the Arthur Ashe Stadium. She said it's bad, it's chewy, and you'd be better getting McDonald's. Zizzo was one of a countless number of customers who waited in line for the offering, which includes 6 nuggets, pickled daikon, scallions, and a can of caviar that customers can combine to create a sort of trash pail Bellini while watching the world-class tennis tournament. Oh, boy. It's the latest of the eye-popping price tags at the U.S. Open. A lot of people are complaining. Cocktails go for about $20. Ice cream costs $10. Many entrees are $30 or more. Like many in line, Ms. Zizzo and her pal Carrie Sutton, according to the New York Post, admitted that they came across the odd dish on social media and just had to try it out. I think I will stick to the McDonald's chicken nuggets, or better yet, maybe Chick-fil-A. I'm not paying $100 for a chicken nugget, even if it does have caviar. Riddle me this back, man. Who gets to resign and receive a bonus to do so? Evidently, if you're the CEO of the South Carolina State Ports Authority, you can do just that. Former CEO Barbara Melvin will receive $822,780 and will also get an additional $100,000 credited to her government retirement account while retaining her as an hourly consultant through the end of the year. This is according to a separation agreement that the Post and Courier published yesterday. Ms. Melvin abruptly resigned after a routine board meeting last week, just kind of walked out. She'll be eligible for compensation to be determined later under the agency's bonus program. In addition, she can keep her state-issued phone. She gets to keep her laptop, computer, iPad after the devices have been scrubbed of any SPA-related data or information. According to the Post and Courier, Ms. Melvin and interim South Carolina Port CEO Philip Padgett signed the 12-page agreement August 21st, the same day that she announced she was stepping down after more than 3 years in the job. Details were provided to the media on August 25th. The SPA and Melvin agreed that her role would come to an end that day and that they wished to mutually and amiably settle all issues arising out of her employment and departure. This is according to the document. No reason for her resignation was ever stated. She's 55 years old. She's the first woman to lead the authority and was among the first to run a top 10 U.S. container port. When she resigned, she submitted a one-sentence letter of resignation to the board leader, Bill Stern, that was obtained by the Post and Courier. She signed off with warmest regards. She said, "I am grateful for the opportunity to have served South Carolina and the Ports Authority over these many years." Later in a prepared statement, she went on to say, "However, for personal and professional reasons, I want to pursue other opportunities. I take pride in what has been accomplished by the port while I was served in multiple roles. Knowing the resiliency of the Ports Authority and its people, I have no doubt even more success is in its future." Now, as part of her separation deal, Melvin agreed to provide reasonable consulting and transition assistance on an as-requested and as-needed basis through December 31st. She'll also be paid $350 an hour for that. She also, the authority will pay $100,000 to her South Carolina retirement system to increase her time of service as a state employee to 28 years. Additionally, Ms. Melvin cannot work for a rival port in Georgia, North Carolina, or Virginia for 12 months, and she and South Carolina ports have agreed not to sue one another. Now, wouldn't you know what's really going on here? I mean, how do you just resign so quickly, and how do you get almost $1 million for doing so? There's a story here. We may never know it, but there is a story here. She was the sixth leader of the South Carolina ports. It was established back in 1942. She joined the authority in 1998, according to the Post and Courier, as its first in-house lobbyist. She worked her way up to the number 2 role. In July 2022, she succeeded CEO Jim Newsom, who remained with the Ports Authority as consultant for the next 12 months. So evidently, this is something that's kind of common. You step aside and you continue working at $350 an hour. At the time, she earned about $585,000, as the last fiscal year in her employment contract was to run through June of 2030, at that time as the number 2. Now, Melvin's departure was announced less than 48 hours after the board called an unscheduled closed-door session at the end of its regular monthly meeting. During the earlier open portion, Melvin said she was looking forward to an upcoming business trip to Asia to renegotiate shipping contracts, and her annual State of the Industry speech scheduled for October. The exact reason for the hour-long private discussion has not been disclosed, but again, that's where the story is. Afterwards, through a staffer, Melvin canceled an interview with the Post and Courier, according to the Post and Courier, which obtained a copy of her separation agreement through the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. The Ports Authority, of course, owns and operates the Port of Charleston and employs about 740 workers. The authority has not said whether it will conduct a national or global search for its next full-time CEO. Again, wouldn't you love to be paid about $1 million to disappear, to leave? We'll never know. And that's the problem that I have with these types of positions. And again, this is a state entity. And we should have more access to these records. Now, understand, we have to be competitive. And the Ports Authority, it's a big thing. It brings in probably billions of dollars to the South Carolina economy. The Port of Charleston is huge. I mean, the Port of Charleston is one of the reasons that we have companies like BMW here in the upstate. The inland port ships those BMWs via rail down to the Port of Charleston, where they're loaded on container ships and exported. So it's a big deal, and it provides a lot of good paying jobs for South Carolinians. But for someone to be paid $1 million to resign as the CEO makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. But look, hey, who am I? I'm just a talk show host. None of this stuff makes sense to me sometimes. If we tried to understand what makes sense in government, we'd all go crazy, wouldn't we? That's it for today's show. Tara's up next, followed by Mike Gallagher, Bill Frady, Charlie James. I'm back again tomorrow for your first cup of coffee in Sunrise, Carolina at 5 a.m. Until then, remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.